We pulling the double. I told y'all I wasn't playing. The season is here. The season is here. We're pulling the double. Stop playing with me. This isn't one of those situations where we're just gonna tiptoe into the season. We're not just gonna take our time getting ready for the season. We're pulling doubles. We're coming for everything that we owed. I told y'all I'm on that energy. I'm on it. This is the year of the apex. This is the year of being on the top of the food chain. The stars will align. Book it. This is the type of time I'm on, Philadelphia. This is the type of time I'm on, Eagles fans, all over the world, nationally, internationally, intergalactically, if that's even a word. You dig what I'm saying? I'm so in love with you guys. Y'all power me up. Y'all make me feel like I got that S on my chest. You dig me? I'm your guy. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II. You guys are locked in on another dose, a double dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. What's good, what's good, what's good. Y'all saw the thumbnail. I do have a special guest coming on, and I was going to keep it a secret. I was. But Philly.500 name rings so many bells, I couldn't keep it a secret. I'm going to be honest with you. Philly.500 the man, and I'm leveraging that. 500 know I got love for him. He know I'm grateful for him for making the time out. He's going to be here in about 20 minutes. So make sure you guys kick back, relax. You feel what I'm saying? Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Make sure that notification bell is hit so you're made privy whenever I go live. Stay engaged, stay locked in, stay active. It's going to be a hell of a show. Before we get too far, I want to give a shout out to our giveaway winner. Last night we did a giveaway drawing, and I made my decision. If you guys saw the last show earlier with my friend, John McMullen, make sure you guys go check that out, by the way. John McMullen was on the show. Go check that out. And I'm going to isolate the interview so it'll be easier for you guys to find. So be on the lookout for that. But I want to give a shout out to none other than Thomas Adams, a.k.a. Bold Brew, holding it down in Philadelphia. He was our giveaway winner this week. Gotta give a shout out to my man Bold Brew for emailing me. And he is our winner this week. He joins the likes of people like Jameer Adams. Jameer Adams sent me a photo of his gift that he won. Jameer Adams won that Eagles cap, that Eagles strap back or snapback. I can't remember which one it is. That's my man Jameer Adams right there. Shout out to him for showing love, for supporting the show. This is what happens when you support. This is what happens when you stay keyed in on the live streams. This can be you. You can be like my man Jameer Adams, who secured his gift, right? Oh, but guess what? It doesn't just stop there, Eagles fans. It doesn't just stop there. You too, could be a winner. Like the lovely Keisha White. Shout out to Keisha. Shout out to Keisha for securing her gift from Chalk It Up Sports. You see that box right there? It says from Chalk It Up Sports, Tone DeShields II. Yes. I'm mailing them out myself. This is what we're doing here. We're showing love to the people. We're giving back to you guys because you guys invest in me time and time again. You guys are always locked in with me. How can I not give back to y'all when I'm asking y'all to invest in me? It's only right. So you can be like Jameer Adams. You can be like the good sister, Keisha White. Or You can be like the good brother Mark Johnson holding it down on the West Coast. Can I get an amen to my man Mark Johnson with the Kelly Green snapback? Yes, sir, Ski. This is the energy we own. We giving back to the people. Mark Johnson held it down in Cali. Jameer Adams held it down in Connecticut. Keisha White held it down in Miami. Tell Mike Lowry, I said what's good. You feel me? You can be like Mark. You can be like Jameer. You can be like Keisha. And now, shout out to the good brother Thomas from Philadelphia holding it down. You are our giveaway winner. And congratulations to you, my friend. I'm going to be making my way to the post office this weekend. And Keisha will tell you. Mark Johnson will tell you. Jameer will tell you. I'm thorough with mine. I email you guys. I correspond with you guys. Thomas, you're going to get an email from me today officially signifying you as the winner. And then you're going to get a follow-up email over the weekend with a tracking number. Okay? That's how I do it here. I'm not just holding giveaways and not giving anything away. Trust me, been there, done that, seen that. That's not how we do business here at Chuck Up Sports. We give back to the people. We take our own asses to the post office and take care of business. This is a homegrown shop here. Shout out to my wife. Shout out to my father, my mother, my brother, my family for holding the content down, for supporting me, for investing in me so I can invest in y'all and y'all can pour back into me. This is a cycle. This is an ecosystem of feeding each other. You feel what I'm saying? The bees can't survive without the flowers. The flowers can't survive without the bees. The people can't survive without the trees. The trees can't survive without the sun. You feel what I'm saying? So I appreciate you guys for locking in, and Dank, you damn right, we're putting in OT, baby. We're putting in OT, and we're going to have a good-ass time. Excuse my language, y'all. I'm a little excited. So shout out to my man Thomas Adams, a.k.a. Bold Brew. You're going to get a follow-up email from me this weekend about your tracking number, but I'm going to email you today officially so you know you're the winner, my friend, all right? And then when you get that gift, you know what to do. You got to send me a photo, baby. You got to send me something. You can even send me the box. Send me a photo with the hat or whatever it is in the box. You dig me? Whatever it is. Just send me a photo so I can post it on the live stream, and you too can be like Jameer. You can be like Mark. You can be like Keisha. So this is what it's all about, man. I really do appreciate you guys. For Mama Linda, you know what it is. It's the circle of life. The circle of life. Yes. I'm in my Rick Ross bag. Yes, the circle of life. Oh, man. I love y'all so much, man. Y'all power me up. We have a special guest, like I said, coming on in about 15 minutes. In about 15 minutes, we have a special guest coming on. You know, earlier we had on John McMullen, and we had a chance to rehash, you know, the Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni stuff. And listen, here's the reality, right? The Super Bowl window is now. Now is the time to cash in on everything you've invested. You spent a ton of money on offense. You spent a ton of money on defense. You've spent a ton of draft capital, high quality draft capital to improve this defense. The offensive line is pretty much set. Your coaching staff is set. Obviously, you still have some developing to do on the defensive side of the ball. That's very, very true. The defense is going to be a work in progress, but I think they're going to be okay. But again, the Super Bowl window is now. It's now. It's here. We blew it last year. We wasted the season last year. That cannot happen again. The Philadelphia Eagles cannot underperform the way they did last year again. It just can't happen. You made it to the doorstep in 2022. You almost took the head off of the giant. But he survived. And Mahomes won another Super Bowl. So This is Jalen Hurts' opportunity. This is Nick Sirianni's opportunity to sever the head of the doubters, to put them to bed, to tuck them in. And you ain't getting no warm milk. You don't deserve none. This is a big opportunity for the Philadelphia Eagles. You re-upped A.J. Brown. He's a $30+ million man. You re-upped Devontae Smith, $25+ million man. You re-upped Jordan Mailata, $20+ million man. You re-upped Landon Dickerson, $20+ million man. Lane Johnson is set. Cam Jurgens is taking over. Not a bad replacement, if you ask me. That right guard spot, it's either going to be Tyler Steen or Mekhi Becton. Not a bad place to be. You gave Bryce Huff the bag. $51 million. $34 million guaranteed. $17 million average annual salary. I'm not counting his pockets, but come on. Come on. Josh Sweat looking for the bag. BG about to retire his final season, the Swan Song. Empty the gas tank. I was talking to McMullen earlier. He said, listen, this is BG last year. I don't see no reason why you hold him back. I don't see no reason why you tread lightly with that man. I'm not counting his snaps. I'm not putting him on the pitch count. BG, go eat. Darius Slay, this may be his last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's entirely plausible. You gave CJ GJ a nice bag. 3 years, can make up to $33 million on the contract. I believe half the contract is pretty much guaranteed. You paid Saquon Barkley buku chips. Buku money. Jalen Hurts is set. Dallas Goedert is probably looking for a re-up next season. So what you going to do with that? You drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. He fell to you, thank God. You drafted Cooper DeJean in the second. He fell to you, thank God. You drafted the legacy, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. You have a project in Jalen Hunt, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. Now is the time. You guys can be legends in the city. Legends, living legends. Jordan Davis can quiet all the noise if the Eagles win a Super Bowl this year. All the noise. All he got to do is keep the motor running for 20 weeks or 22 weeks. That's all we need. Keep the motor running for 20 games. That's what we need. Because I think we can get the number 1 seed. Keep the motor running hot for 20 weeks. Can you do it? For 20 games, can you do it? That's all we need. 20 games out of you, big dog. I know that's no small feat. I can't do it, but I know you can. Jalen Carter, destined to be the next best D tackle in this league. We have him. He's going to have a tremendous season. Devin White, can you have a resurgence? Can you prove the doubters wrong? Can you prove the doubters wrong? That's all. That's all we ask. So again, this is a big season for the Philadelphia Eagles. They've made a huge investment. And I can't wait to talk about it with my man, Philly.500. I really can't. I really can't. I really can't wait because this is Howie Roseman has done everything possible. You brought in Kellen Moore. You brought in Vic Fangio. That's all it. You have it. You have it. Private McClunky says, Tone, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl and JD is dominant, do you give him a contract or do you pick up his 5th-year option and see if he can do it again? That's a good question. You know the Eagles. They love to get in early. They love to get in on it early. So I think they're going to pick up the 5th-year option regardless. They're going to pick up the 5th-year option regardless. Whether they re-up him right away is the bigger question. His contract will be due sooner than Jalen Carter's. And I think that's where things get interesting. Is there a situation where they would wait to pay Jalen? That's a good question, Private. It's a really, 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 really good question. I think that's tough. I'll put it to you this way though. I think they'll pay Jalen Carter or set him up before they set up Jordan Davis. That's what I think. Anthony Kroback, he says, live again, Tone, doing the Lord's work for the people. I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you. Private McClunky says, it's our turn to get the big piece of the chicken at the dinner table. You heard? That's right, McClunky. It's our turn. I'm tired of fighting for scraps. I want the big piece. Nick N was good. Austin says, 2 shows today. Let's go, Tone. You know, man. And the content's still rolling. I got something coming out later on. The content's still rolling. Philly also says, the defense will be fine as long as we can get 3rd down stops and a few turnovers. I agree. If the Eagles can get off the field, right? Get off the field on 3rd down. Oh my God. That changes the game. That changes the game. All you got to do is be able to get off the field on 3rd down. If they can do that, because honestly, even if you're not forcing that many turnovers, if you can get off the field, it's the same difference. The Eagles have to be field position warriors. They have to win field position. Because too often, that Philadelphia Eagles offense had to go the full length of the field. That defense was barely getting stops. They had to get pushed to the brink of the red zone. They was giving up so many points. That offense had to work harder than they really should have. If that Eagles defense was half as good as they were in 2022, we might have made it to the conference championship at least. We might have made it to a conference championship at least. Give me 1 second, you guys. Give me 1 second, you guys. I gotta check something out. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. My apologies, you guys. I had some visitors at the door. I had to take care of some business. My apologies. Again, you guys are locked in to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. My bad. All right, let's get this thing back on the roll here. So the Super Bowl window is now. And we ain't got time for play, okay? Now is the time to win. Now is the time to keep the ball rolling and prove out us wrong. I've been surfing on YouTube, and I've been just seeing how so many of these massive corporations, so many of these massive media companies just they couldn't wait to sink their teeth into this topic. They couldn't wait. And the crazy thing, Anthony Krobeck, it wasn't DoorDash, I wish, but they couldn't wait. But remind you, the article was an ESPN article. So ESPN, all their platforms, they're pushing this shit hard. They're going to dig deep into this. Oh, we're not buying that things are all right. What they don't realize, everything in the article was talked about in February, March, April. You feel what I'm saying? They're late. And if you're just getting here, my man Philly.500 is going to be here in a couple minutes. He's going to be here in a couple minutes. He's getting his stuff set up right now. So I appreciate y'all for being patient. Thank y'all so much. He'll be here in a couple minutes. I actually just got finished talking to him. But yeah, this Eagles team is out for blood. They understand what's at stake here. That's why when people say, I don't know, man, Jalen Hurts is on a hot seat. Nick Sirianni is on a hot seat. Well, Nick Sirianni just may be on the hot seat. He's in the fourth year of his contract. They haven't even talked about a re-up yet that we've seen. So there's a lot riding on the success of this season. There's a lot riding on this team making it back to the Super Bowl. You feel what I'm saying? It's no small feat. But with this level of talent, I don't see why it can't be done. I just don't. That's my perspective, though. You can't sit here and tell me that the Philadelphia Eagles are not Super Bowl contenders. Nobody can convince me otherwise. Because like I said, rain, sleet, or snow, the Eagles train to go. There's nobody out here that I'm afraid of. There's nobody out here that can push the line like us. I'm sorry. That's my perspective, and I'm sticking to that. I'm rocking and rolling no matter what. You hear so many publications, ESPN, Fox Sports, they couldn't wait to talk trash about this. Little do they know, 500, they late. They late, 500. This article was like, they too little too late. We've already cleaned up our dishes. We've already done the housekeeping. You feel what I'm saying? So let me not waste any time here. This brother, this man is one of the giants in this content space. I mean, he shows me, he lets me know what's possible. Every now and again, I go on 500 channel just to surf and just see. As a matter of fact, a few days ago, I went back to one of his first posts and I watched it. And I just saw the growth. I saw just the passion, the energy, the love, how genuine he was. This brother got over 120K subs covering the Philadelphia Eagles. You can't tell me life ain't good. You can't tell me what ain't possible. So without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, the oh so great, the oh so humble, the oh so gracious, Philly motherfucking 500. Come on, man. I told y'all.
What's up, man?
Y'all ask and you receive. 500, what's going on, my man?
Man, that's a great intro. If my wife could only hear that about me, I'd be doing all right. You know what I'm saying? What's happening, man?
Oh,
How
man,
are you?
I'm great. I can't complain at all, my friend. Been a hell of a day, been a hell of a week for these Philadelphia Eagles. You know, we've been, as content creators, we've been having to put out a lot of fires, right? So let's not waste any time, man. I appreciate the time you've given me, and I want to get right into it. This article, man, written by Tim McManus and Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. Let's not pull any punches here. When you heard about it, when you read it, what came into your mind? What was your reaction?
Do you really be honest with you? I read the article, and the only thing that I even cared about was the Wink Martindale part. Like, I'm so desensitized to the Hurts Sirianni thing. It was like, I just went right to the Wink Martindale thing. It was like, oh, this is cool. I got to post this article because I wanted everybody to see that. Had nothing to do with Tim McManus talking about Sirianni and Hurts because, like you said, that's old news to us. I watch these two guys driving around in a golf cart, smiling, having a good time together, and we're gonna keep bringing this up. I mean, people don't get along. People have their issues.
Yeah.
You work through it and you move on. I mean, they keep bringing this thing up every few months. To me, it's a big nothing burger at this point.
Yeah, and the thing is when you reach the heights that they have together, right? When you make it to a Super Bowl, when you make it to 3 playoff berths in a row, and you're as talented as they are, there's going to be some pressure involved with that. There's going to be maybe a differing of opinions in terms of how things should be approached because you know how good you can be.
Right.
And again, you all want the same things. Maybe you disagree in terms of philosophy, right? And to agree with you, right? The one thing that really stood out to me in that article was the Wink Martindale angle. And another thing that stood out to me was the fact that, Jalen Hurts, he actually wanted to do more with this offense in terms of the intermediate game and the short game. And he didn't want to rely solely on the explosive plays, right? And the narrative was that Jalen Hurts can't read defenses. He can't run a complex offense. He's a big play merchant, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
When you saw the angle with him wanting a more complex and more layered offense, what did you think about that?
I you know what I thought to myself, and this may sound mean. My thought was we should have fired Nick Sirianni because I wanted him gone after the end of the year, and to me, I have a problem with any coach, and and this is why I didn't like Chip Kelly, and there's so many coaches I've hated. When a coach tries to basically put a square peg in a round hole, and tries to force guys to do things that they're not good at and don't do well, I think it's a waste of time having that kind of coach. You want a coach that takes a player, takes what they say, uses their ability the best they can on the football field, and takes their talent and makes them use that on the field. By Jalen Hurts saying what he's saying and Nick Sirianni ignoring him, in my opinion, Nick Sirianni is not utilizing Jalen Hurts correctly. And therefore, if he's so worried about doing things his way and not doing what's best for Jalen Hurts and the team because of the talent around them, then why is he even the coach? That's my exact thoughts when I read that.
And it's so funny, right? Because when hearing you say that and then reading the article, it paints Nick Sirianni as someone who's stubborn and arrogant, right? And we've all had that opinion of him, especially last season. But it's almost contradictory of the fact that he gave up the play calling for the better sake of the team. He let Shane Steichen call the plays in 2022 for the better sake of the team. He was on board with letting Kellen Moore come in and take over the offense for the better sake of the team. He's had moments of selflessness here. And
that's the thing, Tone. That's the thing. Don't even think about the year they went to the Super Bowl. Think about the year before they went to the Super Bowl, right? He comes in, tries to run his offense. It's going horribly wrong. Gives the play call in a Steichen. They go and really become a run-first offense. They go on a win streak. They get in the playoffs, right? That sets up the Super Bowl run. Now, he was willing to change then. He was willing to change and let Steichen have it the Super Bowl year. But after they went to the Super Bowl, he tried to take too much control and it went to his head or something. I don't know. But here's a guy that all of a sudden got real stubborn about what you're going to do instead of what was better for the team. And when you have players frustrated the way that they were, and A.J. Brown coming out saying, I'm not talking, I have nothing to say, you know that these players were telling him, listen, we would like to do this, we would like to do that, and it wasn't working. And then what about the offensive coordinator? The offensive coordinator gets all the blame, gets fired. And people were blaming him, thinking, he was a problem. And here it is. This guy was caught in the middle of this thing. And I feel bad for him too. And Nick Sirianni keeps his job. That offensive coordinator loses his job. And to me, listen, it's in the past, but I would have fired Nick Sirianni. And I think that after reading that, that would have probably been the right move at the end of the year.
Man, this is the kind of thing you don't want popping up at this point in the preseason, I guess, so to speak. Like you
Right.
don't want to have to answer these questions or rehash this kind of stuff again, because you're trying your hardest to put everything behind you, and you really see that this team can be really special. Yet every time you take a step forward, there's something popping up making you take a couple steps back.
Well, I'll say this, though. I'll say this. I think the way the Eagles set it up, like I would have fired them, but the way that it's set up now, it can work. And I'm not saying it can't work now. I mean, they've figured it out, and they've kind of come up with their plan. And Jalen Hurts has got to be on board, I'm sure, with what they're doing. But Nick Sirianni at this point looks like he has no control. He's just the guy managing everything. It's going to be Kellen Moore. It's going to be Vic Fangio, and he's essentially just managing everything. I mean, I don't think he's going to have any control whatsoever.
Do you think that's a bad thing, though? I mean, like, do you think
No,
that?
I think it's the only way it could work.
Okay.
If it could work, this is the only way it's going to work. There are coaches who don't call offense or defense. I think Harbaugh in Baltimore, right? Tomlin in Pittsburgh. It can work. It does work. The question is did going to the Super Bowl, in my opinion, go to Nick Sirianni's head where he thought he could take more control of the team? And will it sprout up? Let's say if the Eagles start slow. Let's say if there's is he going to try to force things upon them? Like, I don't need to see any more Devontae Smith blocking on wide receiver screens anymore. Like, dude, I've never been so angry in my life.
I don't want to see another bubble screen this year. I swear, if I see a bubble screen, I might lose my mind this year.
Yeah, but I mean, let me tell you, this team's going to be good. They're going to be good. I believe that that article's just rehashing old things, and I thought Jalen handled it perfectly at the press conference. And if you look at how he looks, and to me, this is the most important thing that I think to take out of preseason so far, or training camp, is Jalen Hurts looks good. Yes. He looks really good. I mean, he looks faster. He looks like he lost some weight. He's a little lighter. But the thing, and I went back and I watched a bunch of old videos of last training camp, and the one thing that I would talk about in each one of those videos is Jalen Hurts just missed this throw. He just missed this throw here. He missed this throw here. There was always one practice where he's just missing throws here or there. This year, that's not it. He is pinpoint accurate right now. So to me, I think we're in a really good spot despite those articles and all that crap.
Right, because my perspective is it has to work. It has to. You have no other option, right? The stakes are too high. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie have invested too much to this team. You paid Saquon Barkley buku money. You re-upped A.J. Brown. He's a $30+ million man. You re-upped Devontae Smith, $25 million. You re-upped Jordan Mailata, $20+ million. You re-upped Landon Dickerson, $20+ million. Lane Johnson is making, I think, $20+ million as well. Yeah. Dallas Goedert is making top 5, top 6 tight end money, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of money just on that offensive side of the ball being spent. And then you bring in Kellen Moore as well. There's so much investment being done on this team that they have to get it done. And the fact that, Nick Sirianni is still here, and Jalen Hurts has been conducting himself the way he's been conducting himself, and he's been sharp in camp and things of that nature, and it seems like everybody's buying in. It seems like everybody's leaning into this new mode of training camp, because the narrative has been that they've been hitting it hard, like the conditioning drills, all that kind of stuff. They've been hitting it hard.
They are.
So
they are.
I just feel like there's no other alternative. It has to work.
Yeah, I agree. To me, it's going to work. I think we're going to be good. I feel really good about this season. The weird thing is what's going to happen when it goes real good, and then Kellen Moore is going to get another job. That is the thing that I think about. Would I fire Nick Sirianni and keep Kellen Moore? Because I would consider it. I don't think you can afford, if you have a great year with Kellen Moore, I don't see how you can afford to sit there and give Jalen Hurts another offensive coordinator. I just don't think you can do it. You have to retain him, or you have to promote him to head coach. You cannot allow him out the door if you have the year that I think we're about to have. I mean it. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And so just for context, when Nick Sirianni first joined the Eagles, he signed a 5-year contract, right? So he's here through 2025. Typically, this is around the time where organizations start to debate if they want to re-up you on a longer-term deal. And obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles don't need to be in a rush to do that about Nick Sirianni. But as it stands right now, it's fair to say that he's on the hot seat this season.
Oh, without question. 2-4 start, he's gone. That's what if they start 2-4, he's gone. He can't,
God.
dude. 2-4.
That can't even be an option. That just can't even be an option.
It's hard to imagine. I really think, because I think this team goes like, I think they go as Jalen Hurts goes. And Jalen Hurts, I mean, he arguably looks better than he did the training camp before they went to the Super Bowl. So to me, I think they're going to be. I think they're going to have a big year. I'm predicting NFC Championship game, and I know I'm getting way ahead of myself, but I just can't help it, man. I really like what I'm seeing from Hurts.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. As a matter of fact, I have a prediction here that I have for him. And normally, I don't really get into the stat stuff because I'm a very simple person when I digest the game. I care about 3 categories: production, wins, and losses. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care about anything else. I don't care about how it looks. Well, actually, I care about 4 categories. I care about production, efficiency, wins, and losses. That's it.
Right.
Are you efficient? Are you productive? Are you winning? Are you avoiding the losing column? Right. So for me, I think Jalen Hurts could have a year like this. I mean, 6-7% completion percentage, around 4,000 pass yards. He should have had over 4,000 pass yards last season if it wasn't for that last final game skid, 4 or 5 game skid. So I foresee 30 passing touchdowns. I foresee 7 interceptions or less, 550 rushing yards, and 7 rushing TDs and 3 fumbles. I think because he's a mobile quarterback, you're going to have those occasional fumbles, in my opinion. I feel like it's kind of par for the course. He's always fumbled he's fumbled every year in his career. He's fumbled, I believe, 3 times exactly. So I feel like that just happens. And then I think his rushing yards and his rushing TDs may go down a little bit because of the
that's what I think.
factor.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's about right. I think the utilization of the dump off pass is going to give him a lot more yards because, excuse me, if you look back at all the times that if he just dumped it off underneath, if he just took the short yardage, he could have had a bunch of yards add up. He would have been over 4K. Now that I think with Saquon Barkley, look, when they blitz, you're going to run that little screen pass to the running back, that little dump off, take the short yardage. They're running a lot more motion, and even in the article it talked about Hurts wanting to dump the ball down and check it down. They're going to do a lot more of that, and you're going to get a lot more. You're going to get a lot more yards add up because you're going to get a lot more completions that way. So I think 4,000 yards around there. I think you're right. I think about 30 touchdowns. I think his rushing touchdowns come down a little bit. A lot of people are worried that the whole tush-push thing is going to be like non-existent without Kelsey. I still think they'll do it and be successful.
Do you want them to keep doing it though? I mean, me personally, does it work when it's needed? Sure, but I don't want to keep putting him in that situation.
Yeah.
Me personally. I mean, you got Saquon. You're paying them money to take those kind of beatings, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it depends. Like if you're, in situations like a 4th and 1, you want to go for it, do it. Fine. Yeah. But if you got 1st and goal at the 1 yard line, give it to Barkley.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Listen, if there's an old Eagles team, I always think about if you tried that way back in the Buddy Ryan days with Jerome and Seth and Reggie, they would be you do that push touch, they would be beating the crap out of you underneath that pile. And to me, I always worry he's going to get hurt, he's going to get pushed back, and his knee's going to get stuck. So yeah, I don't mind cutting it down. You got Barkley. Barkley changes everything about this offense, in my opinion.
Just stand on the Saquon Barkley aspect of it. I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a spectacular season with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, he's never had any situation like this before in his career. No situation. He's not going to have to be the guy every day. I think his motor is going to run at the highest or the hottest it's ever been because he doesn't have to be the guy every day. Just speak on what you believe Saquon Barkley is going to be able to do for the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of maybe some some numbers or as a matter of fact, I'll take it a step further, right? Who not named Jalen Hurts will benefit the most from having Saquon Barkley on his team?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it could be Devontae Smith, to be honest with you.
Break that down. Break that down, big dog.
Well, think about it. You got AJ Brown, right? A lot of teams are going to look to double and give more attention to AJ Brown, right? Because of his size and what he's done in the past. Then you have tight end and Dallas Goedert, of course. You have Saquon Barkley. Now, their defenses are going to have to give attention to him. So I think that's going to open up somebody. I don't think they're going to take too much attention away from AJ Brown. They're always going to do what they do with him. But Devontae Smith on that other side, maybe Dallas Goedert, I think those two guys seem like they could benefit the most, especially if you stick in Devontae Smith in times, in a slot and things like that. I think it could open up a whole bunch. So I expect Devontae Smith. I think he's going to rival the numbers of AJ Brown. I think they're going to be very similar in total yards and catch. I think Devontae has a monster year this year.
Yeah, because everything you're hearing, even for AJ Brown, he's saying, "Listen, Devontae looked like he's taking it to another level. He looked stronger.
Yeah.
And then even Aaron Moorhead, the wide receiver coach, right? He spoke on how the biggest thing he wanted to work on with Devontae between from last season up until now is the fact that Devontae is always going to get open. He's always going to put up his numbers, but there were a handful of plays last season that he basically what he's saying is he left a lot of meat on the bones. He left a lot of food on the table last year, even though he had a productive season, right? So I would tend to agree with you, right? And then again, AJ Brown, I mean, it's like there's never been a situation where an Eagles fan could be more blessed to watch the Philadelphia Eagles play football.
Let me tell you. Listen, I started really watching the Eagles. My first real memory where I became a true fan was Dick Vermeil crying at a press conference retiring. That's when I emotionally got connected to the Eagles. And I remember, all those years. I remember Mike Quick. I remember, when they briefly had Chris Carter, Fred Barnett, Calvin Williams, Irvin Frye. We could go through all the years. I have never seen a tandem at wide receiver like this. This is something special that I've never seen anything close to this, in my opinion. Not even Macklin Jackson.
And I was a Macklin fan. I was a Macklin fan.
Yeah, I like Macklin too.
Yeah.
And I like Deshaun, but these guys are two legit number one wide receivers.
They're just different.
And what's great about them both is they're different type of receivers.
Yes.
So you have to worry about the big physical yards after the catch guy in AJ Brown. And then you got to worry about one of the best route runners, best hands in Devontae Smith. I think they complement themselves really, really well.
And that's why I think they're the best duo in the league, because of not just how good they are, but just how their skill sets and how they play the position just mirror each other so well. I mean, like when you game plan against the Eagles, you have to game plan against two varying type of players at the receiver position who play the position at the highest level, right? I mean, it's a hard game plan. And by the way, you got Dallas Goedert sitting in the middle, right? It's insane. All we needed for Dallas Goedert really is to stay healthy.
See, and I think Goddard's numbers, I mean, we talk about Barkley. See, I think Goddard's numbers go up too. And part of it's Barkley, of course, but I think part of it's also going to be that the Eagles are willing to check things down. They're not always looking for the giant play downfield, that he's going to be okay dumping it off. And I think that's where Goddard, will be a safety valve for him.
Let me ask you this, man. Just circling back to Jalen Hurts real quick. Throughout this offseason, he's gotten his fair share of disrespect from, the major media companies like ESPN and Fox and so on and so forth, right? I mean,
and Dan Sileo, but
it's so funny, man. I got a lot of love. I got a lot of love for my man Sills, but there's one thing we can never agree on. I got a lot of love.
Yeah, no, I do too. But So I just roll my eyes sometimes with
All the
the
time.
Hurts.
For me, all the time. But Hurts, the executives and the scouts or whoever those people are who wear the suits and ties and
Right.
shit, they tried to say Jalen Hurts wasn't a top 10 quarterback for one. And then to
Right.
take it a step further, he wasn't a top 5 quarterback in his conference. And in my humble opinion, that's blasphemous. That's
Yeah.
completely inaccurate. And quite frankly, it has to be clickbait.
Yeah. Well, you notice when a lot of that came out was right after the last mini camp. Remember that last mini camp where they were saying Jalen was struggling, he looked bad, and then there was the rift. But it was the whole thing kind of blew up after that last mini camp. That as soon as that happened, it seemed like all of a sudden all these things about him not being that good were coming out and piling on him. So it's like I just think sometimes there are people who wait. They just don't like a guy for whatever the reason, and then they wait for that time to pile on. And that's what they did with Hurts. I don't know why anybody wouldn't like Jalen Hurts. I don't get it. But it just seems like that happens all the time, and it just doesn't happen for Hurts. I mean, we've seen it happen with Carson. I've seen it happen with McNabb. I've seen it happen. It just they're always waiting for that moment to go after him. And I thought after minicamp, when he struggled, his last minicamp was open to public, and he was missing passes. He didn't look good, and he talked about 99.9% of the offense being new.
Right.
That's when they all started piling up on him. And yeah, and some of it may just be clickbait. At that point in June, it gets really hard to come up with content about the Eagles. You can only talk about the same thing so much,
Yeah, for sure. And then after all that, we saw the NFL top 100 come out, and his peers, the people who have to line up against him week after week, the ones who got to worry about him, the ones who got a game plan against him,
Yeah.
they ranked him 15th overall. Now, granted, he was
15th.
number 3 the previous season, but when you think about it in the context of quarterbacks, he was considered by his peers a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
And then the Madden ratings came out, and granted, it's a video game. Take it with a grain of salt. They have him as a top 10 quarterback still. So again, it's like, and the Madden guys, they're crunching numbers. They're doing all the nerd stuff. So
yeah, and they don't like the Eagles. Usually they give us bad ratings.
Exactly.
So for them to give them top 10 is saying a lot.
Exactly. So for me, you can't sit here and tell me with a straight face Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback because, and I'm so glad we're here. I'm so glad we're here talking about this because I have something that I want to pull up for you. Okay. And it's one of those situations where people like to talk and they like to have their opinions and they love to just go off the deep end, right? But here's the reality, okay? I'm going to pull it up for you right now. Give me 1 second. Some people love to rely on the numbers to dismiss Jalen Hurts' success, right? So I'm going to rely on the numbers to affirm or solidify his success. Okay. Just look at these numbers here over the past 2 seasons of these 4 high-quality quarterbacks. Just look at this. And then as you digest this, I want you to tell me what you see, your perspective.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, he's putting up numbers on par with Lamar Jackson, who is a 2-time MVP. Then you have Burrow, who, by a lot of counts, top 3 quarterback, who's been to he was championship game, right? They went to a Super Bowl, actually. Yep. Yeah, they went to a Super Bowl also. So to me, and that's pretty good. Herbert, I don't know. I think Herbert's a tremendous talent, but man, boy, he chokes a lot. So to me, what I see is an elite quarterback putting up elite numbers. Those are elite numbers.
Yeah, because again, back to my original point, people love to dismiss Jalen Hurts, but I thought this game was about very few categories, really. Wins, losses, and production. He produces. He wins significantly more than he loses.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out what it is. And you know what? I think I know what it is. A lot of these people who speak ill of Jalen Hurts, they already had their minds made up about him on draft night.
Yeah.
And absolutely. The fact that he's superseded whatever they had him marked as, and that he continues to show that he can get better, He's showing this relentless dedication to the craft. He's
right.
debunking whatever narrative they try to place on him. I think it truly rubs them the wrong way. And a lot of these evaluators and these scouts and these executives, they don't like to be wrong in their evaluations.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that would rather, a guy fail so that they could be right than vice versa. So yeah, I agree. I mean, because I don't understand it. When you look at Jalen Hurts, what's not to like? Great person, comes from a great family, did football his whole life. He does things the right way. He's there every day. I mean, I don't see how he's not a very likable guy. So I don't understand it other to say that I just think people they make, like you said, they make the decision and then they just want to be able to say, see, I told you so. And that's what it's about. But I don't get it. I mean, listen, when they drafted Jalen Hurts, I freaked out. I did. And it wasn't, and I said in the video, I was like, it's nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. I just don't understand the draft strategy.
I'm with you on that. That was my exact sentiment.
And let me tell you, if they draft a quarterback next year in the second round, I'm gonna give you the same reaction. I won't understand it. But once he gets in there and he's an Eagle, that's it. I want him to be nothing but the best. Look, even the guys I can't stand. I couldn't stand Nelson Aguilar. I couldn't stand Nate. Like, I still want them to do well.
Because it helps us.
Yeah, I still want them to do well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just stand on the offensive side of the ball a little longer here. That wide receiver 3 spot, the position battle is starting to get a little sticky. Paris Campbell, he's dealing with a little bit of a groin, so he's out, and he's a speed guy. So that's not a good sign. And then you got John Ross.
Fascinating. It's fascinating. I think like it's going to be fascinating because I think Paris Campbell, he opened the door. That groin has opened the door
to Johnny Wilson.
I don't think he's winning the 3 spot. Listen, I think you got to look at Britton Covey and you got to look at Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson, those two, huh? Yeah, I mean, I don't think Ross is going to make it. And the thing is Wilson, we know, is going to be using the red zone. That's already locked. So the question is can Johnny Wilson get open between the 20s? I don't know. I want to see how he runs routes. I want to see what kind of speed he has because he's going to have to be able to get some sort of separation between the 20s. And that's going to be what we're going to figure out with him. But I foresee it the way it's going right now. I think it's going to be between the 20s, a lot of Covey, and then you're going to get Johnny Wilson in the red zone. I think they're going to kind of rotate in and out of there. But I think Paris Campbell, depending upon how long he's out, I think he's losing that spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like you said, that groin injury just opened it wide up for everybody else. When you're a guy, that's not really at the top of the roster, right? You can't afford to get hurt. You can't afford to miss snaps unless the team drafted you. You can't afford to lose snaps. I mean, the moment he went down, we started hearing Johnny Wilson getting way more first team reps than ever before. Remember, he didn't have a strong OTAs or mandatory minicamp. Then he came back, a little sharper, a little more comfortable, and all of a sudden he's catching everything. He's high pointing the football very well. He's very physical. I agree with you. I think he's going to be more of a red zone threat. I'm fascinated by Britton Covey, though. I'm fascinated about him because I was watching one of his press conferences. He spoke about how he's been studying a ton of Cole Beasley film, especially when he was with Kellen Moore. He's been studying Denny Amendola, guys like that who resemble him in stature. His larger perspective is, at this point in my career, there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to make an impact on the offensive side of the ball. I can return punts. I can do that. But I want to make an impact on offense. And what I've been reading, what I've been seeing is that he's been able to create a ton of separation.
Yeah. I think Cole Beasley is the perfect guy. I mean, when you think of Kellen Moore and how they use Beasley, Covey fits that perfectly. Here's what I'll ask. We talk about Devontae and AJ being the perfect complement of each other. What kind of receiver would complement them? That's the question. what kind of receiver would complement them best? A big physical receiver, a small guy? When it comes in terms of tools, I actually think, and I'm not saying he's there yet, but from his tool perspective, I think Anais Smith, a guy who's supposed to be a guy who gets a lot of yards after the catch, I think he would have been the perfect guy, but he's just so far behind right now. But I think if you take Covey and you take Wilson and you use them complementary, I think you get a really good fit. The thing with Covey, he's gotten better every year as a as a punt returner, and he's never really had the chance, as that receiver. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he could do. My only fear with him is he's really small. Like, I think he's smaller than Cole Beasley was, and I worry about that. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you. I mean, I look at it like this, right? If he can, I know he's fearless because he's back there returning punts. I know he's fearless. So I'm not worried about that. I know his hands. I know his hands are surefire because he doesn't muff punts. So that's 2. He's 2 for 2. The bigger question was, can he run routes effectively? Can he get separation, things of that nature? And we're hearing that he's been doing that. So again, to your point, he is a small dude. It is something you worry about. But as long as he's not playing scat out there, I'm okay with seeing what it looks like.
Yeah, but why did it take this long? Like, we've been talking about, like, not just me, but many of us have been saying for over a year, you got to give Covey a chance out there. I mean, what was Watkins doing? Like, why did it take Kellen Moore to come in to say, all right, this guy deserves a look at? Why didn't Nick know that? See, those are the things that bother me about Nick Sirianni a lot. And that's why I say you have a coach who needs just to stay out of it, because he's more worried about what he wants to do instead of what fits the team best. Because in my opinion, Quez Watkins was a disaster last year.
Yeah, I would have benched him after week 4. I would have benched him at the week 4, week 6.
Why didn't you give Covey a chance last year? We would be a year ahead of where we are right now. Instead, I mean, there's positive things, but we've got to see it in the game. But I think tomorrow, watching him and Johnny Wilson play is going to be, to me, one of the best parts of the preseason game.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the combination of, like you said, Johnny Wilson, Brent Covey, and then bringing it to the tight end position, Grant Calcaterra, who's actually been having a really good camp, his best camp thus far. Last year he battled injuries and he couldn't stay on the field, and sometimes he wouldn't be active on game days. Grant Calcaterra is the clear tight end 2. And I'm really curious to see what, like you said, Johnny Wilson, Brent Covey, throwing Grant Calcaterra in there. You got some young players who have tools that you just have to nurture and lean into and show some balls and be confident with those guys.
Agreed. No, I totally agree. Calcaterra, if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be pretty good tight end number 2 in terms of receiving. I'm not sure where he is in terms of his blocking, but
he's fast. He's fast.
He's very fast. Yeah, he's very fast. These guys need opportunity to play, and we'll see. But we have to remember, just like circling back to that number 3 wide receiver, we're talking like the 5th option, right? I mean, we're still talking A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Barkley, Goddard. So we're still talking about the 5th option in this offense. That's pretty deep offense you have,
Absolutely. And if you want to take it a step further, I mean, like you said, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. I would even put Jalen Hurts' running ability as the 5th option.
Yeah,
and then you got Brent Covey or Johnny Wilson as a 6 or 6. Like, you have so many options to get this offense going, and it's going to be remarkable. Let's go to the offensive line, right? We know what Lane Johnson is going to do. We know what Mailata and Dickerson are going to do, right? I think the stories are Cam Jurgens and Tyler Steen or Mekhi Becton, right? And Tyler Steen was dealing with the injury. Mekhi Becton was as well, but Mekhi Becton came back a little sooner, and he was able to get some quality reps with the first team. And Tyler Steen hasn't seen a first team rep since. I mean, they've rotated them in very minusculely, but it's been Mekhi Becton there, and I think they saw something. They said to themselves, "Yo, if he can get get low and because he's a big boy, Mekhi Becton, he's a big boy at right guard. That's a lot of size at your right, just on the offensive line. Cam Jurgens is the smallest dude, but he's so athletic, he's so powerful.
Right.
Give me your perspective on A, Cam Jurgens, and then B, that right guard position battle.
Well, I mean, I think in terms of Cam Jurgens, I think he's going to be a pretty good center. I mean, he was handpicked by Kelsey, right? So they saw something. I thought he did a decent job at right guard last year, and I think he's a better center. So I'm not too worried about him. Will there be a fall off on some level? Yeah, I mean, you're losing a Hall of Fame center. So I think that there's probably some fall off, but I still think he's pretty good. The interesting battle for me is the right guard position because I think they wanted to give it to Tyler Steen and they wanted Becton to be able to come in and pretty much play everywhere. Becton has had snaps at left guard. He's had snaps at right tackle, at right guard. He's been moved all over the place. But you can't deny this is a first round talent. I mean, offensive lineman who's a first round talent, who's young. And now the key to it all is you have Stoutland. And my point is when you deal with the offensive line, whatever Stoutland says and whatever he wants to do, I completely 100% trust. Okay, to me, Stoutland will take a guy who is not good and he'll make him good. He'll take a guy that's good, he'll make him all-pro. He'll take a guy with all-pro talent and make him a Hall of Famer. So now Becton gets to work with him. Are you kidding me? This kid's going to wind up. I honestly believe that he's going to go in the right guard spot, and he's going to be there for 10 years.
Yeah,
I believe that's about to happen because you can tell when Stoutland talks about him too. Like you could tell from day one the talent. The size, the talent, what people saw as soon as he came in.
It was just his health, right? It was just the health.
He healthy, and you go to the Jets. If you go to the Jets, that's like a death sentence. Like, come on. You get drafted by the Jets, it's a death sentence. You can't flourish in that situation.
Oh, my God.
I mean, look at all the guys that have gone to the Jets and died. Like, they gave up on him how quickly. And to me, he's smart. Becton's smart because he said, I want to go to Philly. I want to go under Stoutland. I want to be around those guys. To me, that's a guy that wants to get better. All right. And if he's willing to put the effort in and he stays healthy. Now, Becton, I think I like Becton. There's something about him. Do you remember the play where he literally throws what's his face? God, why can't I remember his name? I couldn't stand Derek Barnett. He throws him the ground block, and then he starts pointing to him while he's on the ground.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I don't remember that. I got to search.
It was great. And after that, I said, yeah, this guy's got something in him. He blocks Derek Barnett. Barnett kind of falls and he pushes him, but as he pushes, he's like pointing to him while the play's going on. It was awesome.
What? I gotta check that out. I gotta ask you about Kenny Gainwell, right? Because
this is where I get in trouble.
No. Hear me out, right? I mean,
okay.
What I'm hearing, and look, I'm not the highest on Kenny Gainwell. I'll be very transparent about that. I've been critical of him over the past couple seasons.
I have
I was high on him initially, and then he kind of plateaued, and I didn't see a development, right? But what I've been hearing is that he's having a really, really strong camp. And he's had a few highlight plays, especially on that open practice night, where he put Nakobe Dean in the blender a couple times. They say he just looks sharp, he looks quicker. Obviously, he's in a contract year, so that can definitely motivate you. Speak on what you think that running back combo can look like with Saquon Barkley and Kenny Gainwell, and what's your opinion on Will Shipley? Can he overtake Kenny Gainwell for that RB2 spot?
Oh man, it's tough because if you would have asked me like right before training camp started, I would have said I think we need to go out and get another running back because the drop off between Barkley and those guys was so big, and I still think it is big. And I know that Kenny Gainwell's having a good training camp and he's looked good, but I need to see it on game day. I'm going to need to see it during the season, during the game day. But if Gainwell has improved to the point where people are talking, then he'll be your clear-cut number 2. My opinion on Shipley is I don't know what to think. I've watched him. I've watched his film. I've seen it. There's nothing that stands out to me that go, oh yeah, I'm kind of just I kind of want to see. I don't dislike the pick. I don't love it. I'm in wait and see mode with him. I think Barkley will make a big of an impact as Christian McCaffrey made to the 49ers. I think you better give Barkley a couple weeks to adjust, because when he's running and he sees these holes open up, he ain't going to know what to do.
He's going to freeze.
He's usually used to getting the ball and having to make a move before he goes anywhere. He's going to have to learn to just hit the hole because it's going to be there. But I don't know. I do think you have a giant drop off between Barkley and those other guys. So yes. I'm really hoping that what we're hearing about Gainwell is going to be good. And if it is, then he'll be your clear cut 2. And then Shipley, we'll see what he could do. But I don't know. I've got to see Gainwell do it on the field.
Fair enough. And I'm with you on that. Let's transition to the defense side of the ball, right? Obviously the offensive side is where we get excited. That's where the fun is. But I think the defense is where more of the unknowns are, and that's where the real, the real debates happen, right? Because some people may feel otherwise about a player, some people may be a little higher or lower, whatever it may be, right? Let's start with the Vic Fangio effect. He's been very, very honest throughout the offseason, throughout training camp, more honest than we're used to anybody being within the Eagles organization. They're very close to the hip. They tend to stroke guys' egos way too soon. They get married to players. They start guys based off draft position or how much they're paying them, things of that nature. Vic Fangio's made it very clear, we're not doing that. If you can play and I trust you, you're going out there. If I can't trust you and you can't do the job, I'm not playing you. I don't care how much you make. I don't care where you were drafted, right? First of all, give me your perspective on the Vic Fangio effect on this defense.
I think Vic Fangio gives me Jim Johnson vibes, not in terms of scheme or what he does, but having an old school coach who's going to let you know how it is, a little maybe rough around the edges, that kind of thing. I think you need that, because I do think there's a lot of fluff, we'll say, that these players get year in and year out, how great they are, how good they're going to be. I think you need guys that actually go out and do it. So I like that aspect of Fangio. Plus, if you're going to run his scheme, you might as well have him being the guy who's coaching it. I think Fangio will make this defense. I think it by the end of the year will be in the top 10 defense. I truly believe that. So I think he makes a big impact, a huge impact, actually. The question really isn't what, to me, Fangio, it's just, does he have the horses at the right place to do it? That I don't know. There's legitimate questions that I have. Scheme-wise, I don't know. I prefer a different scheme. I like the Jim Johnson tree, the Buddy Ryan. Like, I think you need an aggressive and attack first defense. I always see this defense more reactionary, and that frustrates me. But that's just what it is.
Yeah, I prefer defenses that dictate the action as well. Right. Instead of just reacting, I want guys that enforce. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm not going to make a decision based off of what you do. I'm going to force you to make a decision based off what I do. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel you on that. I love his personality, if I'm being honest. I prefer honesty. I prefer guys. I prefer people that are overt. Tell me how it is. You know what I mean? Don't BS me, because I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to get better. You feel what I'm saying?
I agree.
I want to hone in on that linebacker spot, because again, his press conference about Nakobe Dean really was fascinating to me. He said Nakobe, he had a first good couple days, and then after the open practice, he took a couple steps back, took a step back, But my mindset was, okay, he had a good couple days, a good first couple days. What happened between there? What's going on between there? Has he just been a non-factor? And I had my guy John McMullen on. He's always at every practice. He said, look, Nakobe just, he's been solid in the run fits. He's been solid going downhill. He's been solid on, as a pass rusher in blitz situations.
Right.
But if you ask that man to backpedal, if you ask him to go laterally, he is a liability.
I am trying so hard to be fair to Nakobe Dean. I really am trying so hard. I have been like,
oh my God,
biting my tongue all training. I'm like, all right, look, we'll give him to week 1. I'll give him to week 1, week 2, but
just week 1.
Well, look, listen. My expectations of him was that he needs to win. He needs to be starting. Like when they signed Zach Bond, it was Eagles signed a linebacker for special teams. It wasn't they signed a guy to start, and here he is starting at linebacker over Nakobe Dean. I'm sorry, maybe Bond will turn out to be great, but he's never played the inside linebacker. He never started there. And he's got the job. He already beat Nakobe Dean out. Like, I don't think it's asking too much for Nakobe Dean to be able to beat out Bond. And he can't do it. So to me, and then I watched the open practice, and he looked horrible. I mean, the video clips I saw, he looked horrible. He couldn't tackle. He was getting his ankles broke by Gainwell. I don't think the trajectory looks great for Nakobe Dean. Now, maybe we got to get to the games, right? Maybe he doesn't practice well. So we haven't played one preseason game. Let's see how he does. I'm willing to say that. But my expectations for Nakobe Dean going into year 3 is that he's starting at linebacker week 1. If he can't do that, then I'm sorry. I think that's a really bad sign for him because I think this is a make or break year. And I'm going to say this. If Jeremiah Trotter, when he starts, he will get a start. When he gets his start some point this year, for whatever reason, he's not giving up the position. It's his. He's coming to take it. And if Nakobe Dean can't beat out Bourne right now, unless Bond turns out to be some all-pro linebacker, only Vic Fangio saw, Trotter's taking that spot.
Yeah, Trotter's definitely been starting to make make strides in training camp. As far as Zach Bond though, right? When they signed Zach Bond, I didn't know who he was. So I had to do my due diligence, and I had to dig as far as reading New Orleans Saints beat writers.
Right.
I was really trying to find out who was this guy, what has he done for the Saints, and he was drafted out of Wisconsin in the 3rd round in 2020, and through 4 seasons he only played in 62. Through 4 seasons he played in 62 games, but only started 14 games. And throughout his career, like you said, he's been primarily a special teamer, right? He's been really productive as that. But then in 2023, towards the back end of the season, he was able to start 6 games in a row, I think, or about 5 games in a row. He started 1 game earlier in the year, then he started 5 games in a row on the back end to close out the season. I guess they were going through injuries, and they needed somebody back there. And that was when he really started to come alive and started to really show that, he may be able to play the position.
But was he playing inside or was he playing? I don't remember. Wasn't he playing outside as a?
He was playing off ball. I think he was playing off ball, but I'm going to give you some numbers here to kind of give you an idea of what type of production he provided, because he did quite a few things for the Saints. Just listen to this. Through 6 starts, 301 defensive snaps. He had 30 tackles, 2 sacks, 15 pressures, 4 quarterback hits, 4 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 2 pass deflections. So through 6 starts for a guy that went from being on the special teams, and the Saints, they're pretty decent at linebacker. He was able to get in there and he was able to make some kind of impact. That's not bad, for a guy that 3rd round pick. He was a perennial special teamer, and then even according to Ross Jackson, he writes for SI.com. He writes for SI.com Saints News Network. And his biggest perspective on Bond was he was an undervalued impact player for the Saints, especially in 2023. So again, right, As soon as Zach Bond got here and Vic Fangio got his hands on him, he couldn't stop talking about him. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
maybe.
Yes, go.
No. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
I was just saying no. I mean, maybe there's something. Maybe he's better than we all are going to realize. Maybe Fangio sees something in him, but I mean, that would be great. But I just don't know. I mean, we'll see.
No, you're right. And look, the bottom line is he has more special team reps than defensive reps at the end of the day, right? And the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are in a position relying on a guy like him is not a good thing. And Jeremiah Trotter being a rookie, we really don't expect him to make the biggest impact right away. But because the linebacker position is quite literally the weakest position on the football team, it leaves room for everybody to make a play and make a name for themselves, right? Devin White, I mean, he's looking to have a resurgence and change the trajectory of his career. What's your thoughts on Devin White here?
The steal of free agency.
Really?
I believe that he was a steal of free agency. Yeah. I think that, I mean, because I was following the whole Devin White thing pretty closely because I was making the play. I made a couple of videos like back a few years ago that you need to trade for Devin White because he at one point he's a top 5 linebacker, wins a Super Bowl. Then he wanted a contract extension. They didn't want to give it to him. Then he wanted out and he wanted a trade. They didn't want to give it to him. So here's a guy that was unhappy and maybe, in some ways immature about how he handled the situation. And I think when you get into that and you get into your head like that, I mean, I think sometimes it becomes hard to do anything else. And I think the change of scenery for him to go somewhere and get a clean slate, I think that opens the door to bring all that talent back up to the surface. I think he's going to be really good, and I think he's going to make a huge impact for the Eagles. My one thing, the one worry I have is that I believe that he's a very good blitzer. I don't know how much the Eagles are going to blitz, and I think they've got to find ways to utilize that part of his talent. But I think he's a major upgrade. I think he's going to be really good. I do. The question is the other spot, but those are my thoughts on White.
Yeah. And then I want to get to Bryce. I want to get to Vic Fangio's perspective on Bryce Huff. Remember they asked him, where's Bryce Huff in his development, into the player that you need him to be. Mm-hmm. And he said, he's coming along, he's talented. He has the tools to do whatever we need him to do. It's just a matter of doing it. And, he's going to have to get there, but he's getting there. What's your perspective on Bryce Huff? They're paying him $17 million a year, signed a $51 million contract over the course of 3 years, $34 million guaranteed. He's replacing Hassan Reddick, essentially. He's coming off of a career year, but he only played 40% of the snaps. He was a third down pass rusher. They're asking him to do more. What's your perspective on him? Do you think he can do it? Do you think he's going to pick up where he left off? Do you have any concerns?
I have a lot of concerns, right? This is probably where you get to where I start having the two positions I worry about: linebacker and that outside pass rusher. And I know people hate me saying this, but I think they made a mistake trading Reddick. I don't think there was a need to trade Reddick. I think he had 1 year left on his deal. I know he's holding out with the Jets. I do not believe he holds out if he's still an Eagle. I would hold out too if I got traded to the Jets. Okay. There's no reason for him. There's no loyalty to the Jets. So why should he feel like he needs to show up? But if he's still an Eagle, I think he's playing this year. And if you would have told me we have Reddick, Huff, and Nolan Smith, then I would have said you're in a perfect situation to let Huff come along and then eventually take over instead of making a situation where we're putting all that pressure on him to have to be that guy. He has to fill Reddick's shoes, in my opinion. And I don't know if he's ready to do it. Do I think he can get sacks? Yeah, but can he do everything else? I have no like Tone. I have no idea what to think. I don't. I'm just wait and see. Like I'm eyeing Matt Judon in New England in case.
Yeah. He wants out, but he's looking for an extension as well.
Stink. Yeah. But I mean, I just think you didn't need to trade Reddick. It was like one extra move just give him a little more money. Let him play out the year. I would have much rather had Reddick on this team than not. How do you trade a guy with double-digit sacks 4 straight years in a row, probably your number one closer, and then you put it in the hands of a guy who had 10 sacks 1 year, and now your defensive coordinator is basically saying he's not ready to be a starter. I just think that was a mistake. So I don't know what to think about this kid. I think he has the talent. I think he should be pretty good. I think he'll do fine rushing the passer. But everything else, I honestly, man, I don't know. Big giant question mark for me.
I mean, I think it's fair. I mean, I had my own fair share of concerns. My biggest concern with bringing him here was, obviously the fact that, you're missing Hassan Reddick's production. But Hassan Reddick, besides just his production, right? He was a snap count eater. Hassan Reddick was on the field 80% plus of the defensive snaps. So you expect a guy, again, I don't want to doubt him because we want him to do well, but you expect a guy to go from 42% of the snaps played on defense, and you want him to jump up to maybe 70% or 65%. I mean, if we're being reasonable, we should want all those guys, especially the starters. Let's just say Josh Sweat and Bryce Huff, respectively. We should want those guys not even scratching 70% of the snaps because Josh Sweat, we know he can't play 80%. That's not his DNA. The high snap count completely obliterated his motor on the back end of the season. And then Bryce Huff, we don't even know if he can do it, right? But let me play devil's advocate, right? Just a little bit.
Okay.
When it comes to the Hassan Reddick angle, the Eagles gave both Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat 2 choices. They said, listen, both of you guys find out what your value is. Because both of them were trade bait. And whoever was willing to negotiate first or whoever was willing to bend first was the person that was going to stay. And Josh Sweat was the one that played the ball first, and Hassan Reddick didn't want to move off his number. Right. So, and then on top of that, Reddick was under the impression that it was going to be a sign and trade. It was a trade, but there was no sign. You know what I mean? So yeah, the Jets are funny money. They always have been. As far as the Josh Sweat part, he's under some pressure as well. He's in a contract year. They gave him a little bit more. They gave him a little bit more pocket change. To satisfy him. He changed his number on his jersey. He looks at it as a new year, new him. We'll see. Do you have any concerns about Josh Sweat?
Yeah, major concerns. I think in order for this the edge rusher, for our pass rusher to be good, I think Josh Sweat needs to be a double-digit sack guy. I mean, that's what we're kind of expecting. Anything that we relied on Reddick and looked at Reddick to do, I think you kind of got to look at Josh Sweat as that guy to kind of take over for some of that until some of these other guys can prove it. So I think Josh Sweat has a lot of pressure on him to have a big year. I think Josh Sweat will, I think he'll somewhat bounce back. I think he'll get between 8 and 10 sacks. I think he'll do that. But to me,
I need 12. I'm sorry, 500. I need 12. I need 12. I need 12 or 13 Josh Sweat sacks. I'm sorry.
I don't like the trade of Reddick. I just don't.
I get it.
And here's the thing. I don't want them to sign Reddick to an extension. I didn't want to do that. But at one point before you traded him, people have changed like history. I get all these people that tell me, well, no, it was a trade. They got Huff and Reddick in it. Like, people think that they traded. There was no trade. There was no trade. Huff was a free agent signing. You could have Reddick, Huff, and Nolan Smith all on your roster right now. Okay. And it would have been a lot easier to go that way. Now, maybe Reddick holds out and the Eagles knew he was going to hold out. Maybe that's the case. I don't believe it. I think Reddick, if he's an Eagle, I think he shows up. But when you trade him to the Jets, where's his loyalty going to be with the Jets? Forget that. Pay me. That would be my attitude. So okay. I don't know. There's so much about Reddick that it frustrates me because it's like, Reddick doesn't cover well. Well, I don't want Reddick to cover. Like, why are we always trying to push these guys and make them do things they're not good at? Like, I don't want Reddick to like. I can't tell you how many people told me, we got to get rid of Reddick. He can't cover. I don't want him to cover. I want him to sack the quarterback. I want him to rush the quarterback. Why are we I don't know how last year, what the hell's the name of the guy that took over our Mr. Piggy? What was his name?
Patricia.
Yeah. I mean, he's a coach. You had Bill, you were such a smart coach, and then you try to change the whole defense at the end of the year, and you try to make Reddick drop back in coverage more. I mean, you can't be that smart of a person. Reddick is a closer. Reddick rushes the quarterback. So when people go, well, Reddick was only concerned about his sack numbers. Well, that's what he does. So to me, I worry about that. It's not the end of the world, and I don't mean any disrespect towards Huff or anybody else. We
just don't know. We just don't know.
We haven't seen it yet. We don't know. I mean, this is a guy who had 4 straight years of double-digit sacks on 3 different teams. You don't just get rid of that, in my opinion. I don't care his age. He had 1 year left on his contract. I think the Eagles should have kept him, and I think that right now we would be in a much better situation because we'll be like, well, we know we got Reddick. But it is what it is. I can't cry over spilt milk, but I do think if you ask me, like, what's the one mistake this year, I think that was it.
I can't argue against it. I can't, stand on the D line, right? Staying at the edge rusher spot. You got those young boys in Jalen Hunt and Nolan Smith. Jalen being a 3rd rounder, Nolan being a former 1st rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe our expectations aren't high for Jalen this year, but Nolan in particular, you are a 1st-round pick, buddy. You got to make that mean something now. You got to turn up big time.
I'm getting good vibes from Nolan Smith though during training camp. I think I'm less concerned about Nolan Smith than I am Bryce Huff. So, take that for what it's worth. But I think Nolan. I think if Nolan could get you, I think if he gets you anywhere between 7 to 8 sacks, 6 to 8 sacks, I think that would be a acceptable upgrade for him in year 2. So I think he's going to be fine. I think he's actually going to be good.
Yeah, I agree with that. If Nolan can get me, again, being reasonable, the fact that he's going to be a rotational guy this season, that I think Nolan should definitely be able to get you 6 to 8 sacks, and I'm talking about quality sacks, not junk sacks.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not sacks that don't matter. I mean, like some, you beat like a real sack. You beat your man. And what I've been hearing is that Lane Johnson was on Chris Long's podcast, Green Light. And him and Milano on there, and they were talking. Nolan's name came up, and they were talking about him. And Lane Johnson says the biggest improvement from Nolan from year 1 to year 2, besides just added on more bulk, is that he's rushing with a plan now. He's not just relying on his speed. He's starting to chain together moves, and he has a plan. And that's what a lot of people don't realize about the pass rusher spot, right? When you're rushing the quarterback primarily, you can't just rely on speed. You can't just rely on power. There has to be some sort of plan of action. Those guys aren't just relying on talent. They're studying. They're studying the offensive tackles' stances. They're studying where their eyes go. They're studying how they move so they can get the drop on them. So I'm pretty optimistic about Nolan as well. But also part of me is saying, listen, my man. Although I'm optimistic, you got to put up. You have to.
Right. Yeah. I agree. That optimistic can change real quick.
Yes. Yeah. Ask Nakobe Dean. Ask Nakobe.
Yep. Yeah.
Man.
I mean, we'll see. He'll be I'm interested to see what kind of playing time him and Huff get tomorrow. I hope we get at least the first half out of both of them.
Yes. Let's get to those DTs, right? Jalen Carter.
Now
Jordan
you're talking
Davis.
about the key to the whole defense.
Exactly. I think the key to this defense, I think the heart of it, whether this defense succeeds or fails, is going to come down to 3 players, in my opinion.
Question.
Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, right?
I 100% agree with you.
Jalen Carter, we expect him to do Jalen Carter things, right? He's what I've been hearing, John McMullen, he's there all the time. He said, listen, Jalen Carter, he's in shape. Physically, that man look good. You know what I'm saying? Jordan, he's in shape, but will it translate? Because he supposedly came in shape last year, right? How hot does the motor run? You feel what I'm saying? How far can that Volvo get me? Right? Can I take a cross country trip from Philly to Cali 500? Can you get me there? Give me your perspective on that DT spot. Milton he's in a contract year as well, right? So he's looking to step up. You lost Fletcher Cox. Word is Marlon T is looking very good. They have another guy back there as well who's supposedly looking pretty good. His name is, let me make sure I got it right. His name, Moro Jomo's actually taking the next step. I've heard. And there's another guy back there that we don't know too much about. His name is Thomas Booker. Thomas Booker the fourth. Okay. I hear Marlon T is taking that next step. Moro Jomo's taking that next step. They've been very consistent. Thomas Booker is taking the next step. I think, and I think that's what a lot of people are referring to as taking that next step, that they've been very consistent and you can tangibly see their production, right? Give me your overall perspective on that DT spot and just the pressure they're on.
I like the defensive tackle spot. I think that you're right. It is the key to this defense. You've got to get a push up the middle. You get pressure up that middle. Everything will take care of itself. I expect Jalen Carter. I really think he's a 12-sack guy. I think he's going to go out and have that kind of year as a defensive tackle. I think he's a stud. The question is Jordan Davis. Can Jordan Davis hold up? Can Jordan Davis play 17 games without getting worn out? People love to give Jordan Davis a lot of crap, but go back and watch the first 11 weeks. Jordan Davis is one of the guys talked about the most. He was having a pretty good year, especially in terms of stopping the run and things like that. I've never seen a guy when he chased Josh Allen. Do you remember? I mean, that was ridiculous. He's sitting there running, but the thing is after the play, he was like this.
He was on the other sideline.
He went like this, and then he went right back down. And they had to go to commercial break. He was done. That was it. You didn't hear from him the rest of the year.
I've never seen a clear indication where somebody just lost it. He bottomed out right there. Yeah. All his tires went flat right there.
Yeah. So what I think what's interesting is if he can play and be conditioned. To me, Jordan Davis, I'm sorry, when people say he can't play 3 down, I don't believe any.
I don't believe it either.
You can't be that strong and that athletic, that fast.
I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it.
Yeah, he's just got to be conditioned. He has to be better conditioned. And if you can get Jordan Davis to improve his pass rush too, because I think one thing that happened is early in the year they doubled Jordan Davis. They started doubling Jalen Carter. And if Jordan Davis, when they start doubling Jalen Carter, if Jordan Davis can up his pass rush ability, I'm not saying he's got to be a 10-sack guy. Yeah. I don't think he'll ever do that.
Give me 5.
But he give me 5.5 sacks. I think you got something there. So if he is better conditioned and can upgrade his pass rush ability just a little bit, I think that this defensive line is going to be formidable, and I think Jalen Carter will do what he does. And then when you add Milton Williams, I mean, Milton Williams is on the verge of being a starter somewhere else, making big money. I think he's going to have a big year. I think he's going to have a breakout year, and it's going to be one of those things where how do you pay him with what he's going to get on the open market? If I'm the Eagles, I'm trying to extend him right now before the season begins. I really would. I would put effort into that because I think Milton Williams is a really good player. But I think the defense goes as Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter go. And if they both live up to what, we think they can be, this whole defense, everything changes for us. I think even the linebackers will, a lot of your deficiencies will be masked by those two guys. I truly believe it.
Andrew, you've been cooking for me so much, man. I'm gonna get you out here pretty soon. It's got a few more for you. I'm gonna ask you and I want to finish up with the DB room, and then I want to get your spin on the upcoming preseason game tomorrow. Is that all right? Okay, cool.
Yeah, man. Anytime, whenever you need me, just let me know.
For sure, man. I appreciate you thus far. You guys are locked in on Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I'm joined by Philly.500. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II. Keep it locked, you guys. This thing is getting better and better. So, James Bradberry. Vic Fangio, Vic Fangio said in a press conference that, not many corners are that successful transitioning to safety, right? I mean, the ones that were successful, I mean, they're outliers, and we're talking about Hall of Famers, Charles Woodson, Ronnie Lott, guys like that, right? Rodney Harrison. Not many guys make that transition successfully, and yet James Bradberry is trying to make that transition. I think he fully acknowledges that the cornerback room is crowded, and that the Eagles have pretty much made their mind up about who they like at that position. So now he's trying to find value or prove his value at the safety spot. CJ and Reed Blankenship are the clear-cut starters. You got Sidney Brown, who's on the PUP list. Mekhi Gardner, safety, but okay, we'll see what that is. But with CJ battling a little bit of a shoulder tweak right now. They said it's not serious, but he's injury prone. It's the reality. And then Reed Blankenship, he was in and out of the lineup last season. Is there any path in your mind where James Bradberry is still on his roster in week 1?
If I had to bet money, I would bet he's not here. I don't believe he's going to be here. And the fact that they put him at safety as a backup is like they're just trying to figure out a place to put him and maybe increase his value for a team that says, oh, look, he can play multiple positions in the secondary. I don't know. I don't think that they should keep him. And to me, I think it's really, maybe he could play safety. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't see it. And it just seems like we're really thin at the safety spot. If you're going to keep like a guy like Cooper DeJean and not move him or give him reps of safety, you got Avonte Maddox and Bradberry, basically your second string safeties right now. So I don't know. I guess there's a legitimate possibility because they're thin at safety that he's there. But are they going to really pay him that kind of money to be a backup safety? Hard for me to imagine. I think Bradberry, if I had to bet, he'll get traded before season begins.
Yeah. I tend to think about that too. But what I've been hearing is that Fangio kind of likes him, and the longer he stays, the longer he's here, the more Fangio might start to like. I mean, look, we don't know, but I'm on the side of you, right? I believe that he's going to be gone before week 1. That's my honest perspective. I wouldn't put it past Howie Roseman to make another move to add to this roster. That cornerback 2 spot though, that competition is really heating up. Isaiah Rodgers, Keely Ringo. And then on top of that, the Philadelphia Eagles have found this niche with Quinyon Mitchell playing the nickel now that Cooper DeJean is kind of, recovering from that hamstring. Give me your perspective on the position battle between those 3 gentlemen for CB2. Speak on the fact that they've been really working Quinyon Mitchell at that nickel, the first team nickel, and a lot of dime and big nickel sets. Just speak on that.
It's fascinating. It's another fascinating situation. It looks like Isaiah Rodgers has the inside track just based upon who starts out practice as a cornerback number 2. So it seems like he has a slightly inside track over Ringo. But I think those guys are all legit starters on many teams. So then you figure, well, okay, you got Ringo and Rodgers. What are you going to do with Mitchell? Mitchell does, where are you going to use him? You're going to just keep him on the bench? No, let's put him in a slot and see what he can do. Oh, you know what? He can play that too. Well, I think he's going to start over Avonte Maddox. I think Avonte Maddox is going to be more of a backup slot corner and backup safety. I think week 1, you're going to see Rodgers and then him in the slot. I think Quinyon Mitchell has made his move. He's going. We'll see if he gets any reps, on the outside. How much he plays on the outside. Eventually, that's where you want to put him, of course.
Yeah, yes. Because he is an outside corner. That's what you want. That's what you draft him for.
Yeah. My scenario for that whole secondary really had it flipped where it would have had I wanted Rodgers to play in the slot, and I wanted Mitchell on the outside, and then I wanted DeShields to be like a guy that can
A
play
hybrid
every
guy.
position.
Yeah.
A hybrid guy, right? Like start him out, let him play safety, and then like get him to the point where it's like every week, depending upon matchup, you put him somewhere. So let's say you want him up against a tight end 1 week, you put him on tight end. You want him in the slot 1 week, you put him. You at safety another. Like have him all over the place.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem like Rodgers likes the slot, so he's going to play on the outside. What I don't want is I don't want it to be a situation where it's like Quinyon's so good in the slot that we'll never put him on the outside, and then we need an outside corner. So, and what's going to happen when DeShields comes back? Because you got to figure a way to get him on the field too. I think Ringo is the long-term answer at corner. I think he'll be there. I think he's a starter, and I think he's going to be good. But I mean, you got a lot of good players there. You got to figure a way to get them on the field. So if for the time being you put Quinyon Mitchell in the slot and it works, I'm all for it. I think Avonte Maddox too injury prone for me. Yeah. So I like the idea of it, but it's going to be a fascinating battle to watch in preseason.
Yeah. To your point, right? I think here's my viewpoint on the DB room, right? I think their long-term vision is
right.
Quinyon Mitchell and Keely Ring on the outside, and you have DeShields either playing the nickel or some sort of hybrid safety role, right?
Right.
I think this year their vision is obviously you have Darius Slay. You have Isaiah Rodgers on the outside for now. Then you got Quinyon Mitchell in the slot. And then when Cooper DeJean comes back, I think they should utilize him in some big nickel dime looks because, hear me out on this, the linebacker position is weak. You know that. And this is a passing league. More than anything, you need guys back there that can cover.
Yeah.
So why not utilize Cooper DeJean? Why not get him involved in those big nickel sets where you take off a linebacker, you add another DB. Now you have the best quality of talent out there. Because I think what they're trying to do, I think they're trying to figure out what's the best combination of talent we can cultivate in that DB room. You got CJ back there. I think they really like Reed Blankenship, but I think he's going to really take a next step this year. That the cornerback position is obviously where things are a little, a little shuffled. But I think their mindset is what's our best combination of talent, and how can we maximize it?
Yeah, I think that's definitely what they're looking at, and I do agree with you. I think the long-term plan is different than the short-term plan in terms of how they're going to use those guys and what they're going to do. If you look at it, it looks like the corners, the outside corner, even the slot, looks like they're all fine. But if you look at that safety spot, it's pretty thin. You really got Reed Blankenship and you got CJ, and then you really don't. I mean, I don't know what to think about Bradbury as a backup safety, but it seems like you're thin there. So for me, it's like I like the idea of putting DeJean in nickel situations and utilizing more nickel. I agree with that. I think he would have an easier transition going and getting snaps and playing at safety. As far as Reed Blankenship, I'm a little bit more of a question mark on Reed Blankenship.
Okay.
I don't know what he is. I think he's okay. I don't know that he's the long-term answer at safety. Mm-hmm. But I look at CJ Gardner-Johnson. I say, there's a ball hawk. Here's a guy who's only played safety. This is only his third year playing safety. He's going to get better and better. And when I look at DeJean, I see a guy that you can't just stick in one spot. You got to utilize his ability. and I think he could play safety too. I think you would have 2 ball hawks out there. So I would like to see when he's ready to come back. I would actually like to see him getting snaps at safety.
Yeah, I would, because my mindset when we drafted DeJean, I was thinking, okay, we found our future safety. I would love to see him at safety because he's physical, he's athletic, he's fast, and then my man S. Blunt just reminded me, we still got Sidney Brown. We still got Sidney Brown in his roster, right? The forgotten man. I mean,
he needs a year though. You like he's coming back from a torn ACL. Usually you're not 100% that first year back. So I say take the pressure off of him the first year. Don't force him in too much. When he's ready to come back, play. But I don't know how much I can throw on him this year.
I feel that.
That's my thing with Brown.
Yeah, I don't think you're off.
In 2 years, Brown will be ready to go. But coming back from that injury, how many guys come back from that injury and are good the next year? It never happens. Only Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, and that's a different animal right there. A different animal. All right, let's end it with this. Tomorrow they face off with the Baltimore Ravens, the first preseason game of the year.
Yep.
It's really exciting. Football is back, my friend. Give me your perspective on how you think it goes in terms of, because we don't care about wins and losses. We care more so about how players look and who gets time, things of that nature, right? Give me your perspective on how you think that depth chart is going to look, right? Who do you think is going to or see more time on the field, or who do you want to see, right? Who are you looking forward to seeing?
Honestly, I mean, not that I need to see a lot of them, but I really was hoping the starters would play. Like, I think these guys need to play. Like, give them a series in there. But, with the weather, they're saying it's not going to be great weather, so I don't expect them to play. So, in terms of who I want to see, I'm looking in terms of, like, really position battles. Like, where is the position battles and the question marks? That's really where I'm going to be focusing. So I'm going to be looking at that slot wide receiver. I think that's going to be a fun battle to see who's going to be stepping up in that situation in the slot. Wilson, Covey, are those guys going to make plays? Oh, I want to see what Johnny Wilson does between the 20s. The linebacker spot, we know what we got in Dean. But I want to see what Trotter does. It's a shame that Warren Burks is hurt because I was hoping that he would give us something. So I think that's an interesting battle. And then the cornerback battle is going to probably be going on with all those guys. So watching that will be interesting too. So those are really the 3 positions that I'm going to be focusing on. And of course, I want to see a guy I want to see what Will Shipley looks like.
Oh, yeah,
I want to see what he looks like as a running back. I want to see, we'll see what some of these guys are. And so that's probably where I'm going to be looking. I don't expect the starters to play now, it seems like, even though they're, we don't know. But that's pretty much for me what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And the edge rushers, I will say, yes. The edge rushers is we got to see something from. I want to see. Would it be nice if Bryce Huff goes out there and gets like 2 sacks? You feel a lot better him and Nolan Smith. Like let me see something from those guys. That's what I'll be watching.
Yeah, and real quick, I forgot to mention this to you, right? Jalen Carter mentioned in his press conference, and my man Antonio Holmes brought this up. He reminded me. Here it is. Jay Carter, he's been playing some D-end. He's been playing some D-end. So, that kind of reminds me with the whole BG thing where they would play him on the inside sometimes. Listen, Vic Fangio, he's multiple. His defenses are usually versatile. It's gonna be really fascinating to see how all of this comes together, my friend. But man, oh man, I cannot thank you enough for taking the amount of time out that you have for me, my friend. I don't take it for granted. I'm grateful for our friendship. I'm grateful for our connection here. Is there anything that you want to promote? Anything you want to push before I get you out of here, my friend?
No, I just want to thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to come on and work with you. I enjoy talking football with you, man, and I appreciate what you're doing. I watch your channel all the time, and I just think you're doing great work, man. So thank you.
Wow, 500. Thank you. That means a lot, my friend. And again, I study you, man. I watch what you do. I see how your personality shines through. I see what you built over there. You have a well-oiled machine over there, my man. And I try to just make sure that whatever I do, I'm not only just giving information, but I'm trying to be entertaining, trying to, just bring my alter egos. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah, man, I love what you do as well. We definitely got to connect, especially let's say, I don't know, somewhere when when the regular season starts. I don't want to.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So we'll tap in with that. Maybe we do a big Eagles roundtable. You never know. So
I like it.
my friend, got a lot of love for you. You take care. All right.
Thank you, my man. Take care.
All right. You guys, there you have it. There you have it. You guys know I love to feed the people. That is my MO. I like to feed the streets. It's not about me. This is not about me. This is about y'all. This is about y'all. I gotta give. I'm here to give back to y'all. The way y'all have given to me, the way y'all have helped me build this platform. You guys have been so active in the live streams, the chats, hitting that like button. This is what it's all about, because the football season is here, and trust me, you guys. I see big things ahead for us. I really, really do. I see big things on the horizon. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to really, really be a good football team. I think that defense is going to come along very well. I think I think about time we get to the playoffs, that defense is going to be a well-oiled machine. Everyone's going to have their roles carved out. Everybody's going to know what's expected. I think that offense is going to be. I'm not even really stressed about the offense, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a spectacular season. Along with Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. I think everybody's just going to go off. It's going to be so hard to defend them. And, the Philadelphia Eagles are they're the apex. They're the apex. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no one above us. You dig me? Jalen Hurts is going to prove why he's the apex of the NFL, why he's the apex predator. He's the apex beast. You feel me? There's no one above Jalen Hurts in the food chain. He's going to prove that, right? He's going to prove why he needs to be taken seriously. He's going to prove why he's a top 5 quarterback in his league. He's going to prove that. And if you want to rep your Philadelphia Eagles, if you want to rep Chalk It Up Sports, you make sure you copy yourself an Apex Predator Jalen Hurts oversized t-shirt from me at my store, man. I really do appreciate the love. On top of that, we're doing giveaways. The giveaways is going crazy right now. I want to give a shout out to our winner of this week, Thomas Adams. Thomas Adams was our giveaway winner this week. He's going to receive a free gift from me. It's going to be really great. I also want to give a shout out to my previous giveaway winners. Got to give a lot of love to Jameer. Jameer, man, he sent me the photo. And Jameer is rocking his Eagles cap. You feel what I'm saying? I sent Jameer that Eagles ball cap, man. Looking fly, my guy. You can be like Thomas Adams, a.k.a. Bold Brew. You can be like my man Jameer rocking his Eagles ball cap that I sent him. You feel what I'm saying? Who else we got? Who else did I bless? Who else did I bless, man? Let me make sure I got this thing right here. Who else? My man. Who else? Where you at? Keisha. Keisha got her gift. You feel what I'm saying? Keisha. She won an Eagles cap from me. I'm giving away stuff to the people. This is the type of time that I'm on. I'm giving it away. I'm giving stuff away throughout the training camp, preseason, the regular season, the playoffs, the Super Bowl. You dig what I'm saying? Also, gotta give a shout out to the good brother, Mark Johnson. Mark Johnson was one of our other giveaway winners. Mark Johnson was blessed with the Kelly Green snapback. You feel what I'm saying? This is the energy we on. You guys have invested in me. You guys have purchased the merch, man. I got to get back to y'all. You guys hit that like button. You guys are subscribed to the show. What kind of content creator would I be if I wasn't feeding the streets? I study a lot of people. I study the greats. I study some of the best people doing this. I study guys like Lord Brunson. I study guys like Philly Mike from the Philly Talk podcast. I study guys like Philly.500. I study Joey Shakes. You feel what I'm saying? I study guys like Gate City. I study guys like my man Philly Fresh, the general. Shout out to my man Philly Fresh. He the one that showed me, he one of the first ones to show me love. You feel what I'm saying? I study a lot of people. I study a lot of people, man. And the only way you're going to be great is by surrounding yourself by great people. And I know there's people I didn't name. There's people I didn't name. But you know who you are. I got a lot of love for everybody. And I want to and I want to work with as many people as I can. You feel what I'm saying? I've been blessed to be able to be in the presence of talented individuals. You feel me? So that's the only way this thing moves. This thing only moves by leaning in, spreading love, giving back to the people, giving dope content, dope energy, dope personality, dope merch. You feel what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. We're going to have a hell of a season, you guys. And I can't wait to kick it with y'all and talk to y'all about that preseason game tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Going to be fun. Can't wait to see some of those young players get after it. Can't wait to see those guys fighting for roster spots to get after it. It's going to be a hell of a preseason. Going to be a hell of a regular season. It's going to be a movie, you guys. And it's straight like that. We're out of here. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show, especially if you're new. If this was your first time listening to me, Saladin, I appreciate your love. I appreciate your support. Again, go check out the Chalk It Up merch shop. The links are in the live chat. All you got to do is click on it, and you'll be able to see what you're working with. I'm wearing an extra large. It's an oversized tee, so it's meant to be a little loose on you, meant to be a little baggy. That's the style. That's the wave. And I love the way it fits on me. I'm wearing an extra large. I'm 6 feet, about 220. So just to give you some perspective. So make sure you bless yourself with some merch. Again, smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Stay active. Stay engaged. Stay humble. Stay healthy. Most importantly, stay hungry. I've been your humble host, Tone DeShields II. Shout out to Philly.500 for blessing the platform. This has been Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game.